Good morning, traders. Welcome to Trading Together. I'm Mel Gacee. Today is Monday, March the 9th, and we are entering into another volatile week. My goodness, the VIX is currently sitting at 28.6. So we are looking at some wild swings. We're going to get into that in just a minute. But first, I want to say hello. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for being here. And if you are here, I would love it if you would drop your name, your hi in the chat. This space is intended to be a place where we can trade together. So I trade for a living. I have my Series 7, so I'm a licensed stockbroker. This is what I do for a living. This is how I support myself, and in all humility, I do well at it. I have a 90% win rate. But I take small wins, right? So this space is intended to be a place where traders of all levels can come. You can ask me your questions. You can trade with me. Guys, nobody does this for free. I promise you. So I see a lot of people out there. Where can I learn? Who can I talk to? Well, that's what this space is intended for. So drop your name in the chat, say hello, ask your questions. Don't be shy. There are no dumb questions. There are no newbie questions. And I guarantee you, if you have the question, somebody else does too. So drop your name in the chat. I'd love to meet you and get to know you. And thank you all who are following me consistently. I sure appreciate you. It makes it so much more fun to trade together, doesn't it? All right, looks like Roger is here. Good morning, Roger and Freaky Turkey. Good morning. Thank you for joining. Well, guys, we are just doing I've already done about 5 trades this morning, made a good little profit. I've already hit my goal today, but we are going to watch this market together and see if there are some other good setups, and we'll do some analysis together too. So let us jump right in. Let me get over to my screens here. Just took a 16% win on this little drop here. This is the beauty of zero days to expiration scalping, right? This is the beauty, is that we can make these tiny little wins or big wins, whatever the case may be, on these tiny little moves, right? So here's the thing with the market. Here's what's going on right now. We are moving into a different market persona. The market has personas, it has personalities, it has feelings, if you will, because it is run by people, right? And people are emotional. So you can see how the market is feeling on any given day by the way it's moving. And the market is beginning to get skittish. It's beginning to get scared. It's beginning to not feel so confident in the big AI bubble and the magnificent 7 stocks. The market is getting what we call an attitude of risk off, saying, okay, we don't like this Iran thing. We don't like this labor situation in our country. We're not liking the inflation. We're feeling a little bit like, let's pull back our money. And so here's the thing to remember. Money in the stock market doesn't just evaporate, right? It doesn't disappear. They move their money. Big traders, big institutions, hedge funds move their money. It doesn't just evaporate. So where are the places that we usually see money move to, or we would say rotate toward, right? Money rotates into defensive stocks. So these can be healthcare, they can be energy, things that tend to be a necessity even when the economy is struggling. So we would call those defensive stocks. And also there's another type of stock that we would call defensive, which is defense stocks, right? That's different. So these are wartime kind of stocks, investing in, whatever, uranium, or in the old days, it was steel because they were building munitions, right? So defense stocks, stocks like Lockheed Martin that have contracts with the DoD, the Department of Defense. So these would be called defense stocks as opposed to defensive stocks. But we can still see these types of stocks, these defense stocks, also grow as we are in this really probably what's fixing to be a long conflict. Unfortunately, we got the news over the weekend that the Ayatollah Khamenei, who was killed in the last strikes, had a son, and he's also now been placed as the supreme leader, and he is now Ayatollah Khamenei. So that's not great news for the Trump administration, because what the administration had wanted was they wanted the Iranian people to topple this government that has been so oppressive. And they wanted the Iranian people to take back their government. That did not happen. The hardliners still apparently have political control over the country, and the hardliners are not going to negotiate. They're going to go down fighting, right? And so this just tells us that this conflict is probably not ending anytime soon. So I don't know if that's what kind of caused this dip, this gap down today. Was that news? Certainly, possibly, but also just if you look at the market in general, you can see it is happening. It has been happening since before the Iran conflict, and I'll show you on the charts where we can see that it has been happening. We've been rolling over. We've been seeing money rotating out, big money into, like we were saying, defensive stocks, into precious metals, which are basically classified as a safe haven. So there are different types of safe haven stocks. Those would be precious metals. Those would be government bonds. Those are considered the safest, right? And then the money can rotate straight into cash. So we can see the dollar index also climbing a bit if big money is rotating into cash. And that's kind of a last, not a last resort, but big money would certainly prefer to get a couple of points of interest, right? But if they want their money liquid, they'll go ahead and rotate into cash. So we do see this happening. All right, guys, I am kind of looking at a put here. Let's see what goes on. I'm going to go ahead and load the 668 puts. And those prices have come down nicely from this morning. They were ridiculous high. Let's see what we're doing here. Looks like we're getting a bit of a round over. $66.93 on the SPX. They're trying to come and reclaim 6,700. Has not happened yet. And we've got a little low here that we just made at 667.5 on the SPY. Are we done with this climb? Are they going to pull it back down? And we'll look at the daily charts in a minute, and I'll show you why I'm not sure that we're going to continue to get a flush down today. They could try to recapture this kind of lower consolidation zone that we found ourselves in. I'll show you what that looks like. It is possible. All right, this thing isn't flushing at the moment. Let's give it a minute. We're a good piece above the VWAP. I do like puts, but I got to wait a minute and make sure that we're actually rolling over. So on the puts, I'm looking at the first puts that are in the money on the 0 days expiration. So on the SPY, I'm looking at March 9th expiration, and I'm looking at 668 puts at the money. First one's in the money. That's, if you ever miss what I'm holding, you can find it all by yourself by just going to today's expiration and looking at the first option trade in the money, whether it's a call or a put. Right now I'm looking at puts, but I'm not in anything because you can see we haven't quite rolled over yet. It's slowing down a little bit here, but they're trying to hit 6,700. They are trying. We're sitting at 66.96 on the SPX after a huge rout overnight. And I'll show you that chart in a minute. Really, really way down there. Okay, no drop yet. I'll keep watching this. VIX is sitting at 28, so it did get pushed down. Now 28 is elevated, but VIX was up over 31. And I don't know if you all remember me talking about a few days ago, I was expecting to see the VIX pop up to 30 or 35. And we got overnight, how high did we go up there? Almost 35, I want to say. I'll look at that in just a minute. All right, no break yet. Kind of sideways movement here, building a little top at 6,700. Let's see if we're going to push through. We have a low of day from yesterday just overhead at 669 on the SPY. Looks like we could be pushing for that. All right, let's take a look at this ES because this was wild, this overnight low. I want you guys to see this. Let me turn off the volume profile because it's hard to see with the volume profile. And I'm going to go to the daily here on the ES. Okay, look at this candle. Look at that wick. Came all the way down through the 200-day moving average. This is a big deal. We've talked about that before, right? The 100-day moving average, the 200-day moving average, these are institutional lines in the sand, if you will. They will hit a 100 on the daily, and that is a warning sign for institutions that things are not looking good with this stock. When we come down to the 200, ouch, we are looking at a situation where we have been selling off, and institutions do not like to lose the 200. That's really the biggest line in the sand, is that 200-day moving average. So we came down overnight. Look at that long wick all the way down to 65.83 on the ES. And look at how much we've recovered, 150 points. That's insane. That is a big, big move. We are experiencing very large ranges, and that is more common with an elevated VIX. So with high volatility, we start to see these ranges get bigger, and wow, what a range, right? All the way down to 65.80. And now we're back up to 6,700. Crazy. So quite a big range there, over 100 points. Well, we've moved up just 100 points. So the total range today is sitting at 123 points. That is a very large range. All right, we are still climbing, recovering 6,700. This is quite the climb, guys. We could consider calls on the next turn. I'm not going to take anything right here at this low of day, but this is a climb, and I'll show you the daily why this matters. Here on the daily, you can see, let me zoom out a bit. You can see this consolidation that has been happening right in through here at the 68.50 area. That has been a huge area. If you guys have been following, you know we've been pinging that 68.50 over and over and over. And that is the area of consolidation. So now we've We've come down. We've really lost that area, but we're getting a strong bounce. Look at that bounce. Are they going to try to bring it back up into this area of consolidation? That is only 150 points overhead. Could they? Absolutely, they could. One big overnight gap up could do it. So now, is that likely? I don't know. Because of all the negativity going on, is it likely that we're going to come up here and start ranging again? Anything could happen. So I'm going to really trade like water. We have to trade what's in front of the charts. In this type of an environment, we are aware that the VIX is elevated, meaning that we are going to get larger ranges and bigger spikes. So we're aware of that. And we are aware that it's very negative on the whole news and economy landscape. So we're aware of that. So we just have to basically trade what we get. And that's the beauty of day trading and scalping, right? I'm not holding a lot of long-term positions. Most of my money gets rotated through my scalping trades every day because I make a good profit doing that. That is where I make my highest profit. So I don't have a lot of long-term holdings, and I'm not saying you shouldn't, because you need to prepare for retirement. You need to have your IRAs. That's all really, really good, safe, sound investing. But the beauty of being a day trade scalper is that this kind of stuff doesn't stress me out. I'm not worried about it, right? I'm going to trade what the charts are giving me, and I'm going to make money on it every day, almost every day. I have my losing days, but almost every day I'm going to make money on it. And so that is kind of how I have evolved my strategy. Small, consistent wins. The bulk of my account is liquid so that I can trade the bulk of my account every day, which I do. So now we are doing this pull up here, long lower wick. When have we seen? That's the next thing I do. After I'm looking at the daily, I take a look and say, when have we seen this behavior before? How can we match this pattern up to something that we've seen before? And I'm liking this drop here. $66.99. We haven't lost 6,700 yet, so I'm not jumping in. All right, I'm going to jump in with a quick put, punch it. Six, 6, 8 puts. They are 6, 6, 8. Yes, Roger. All right. So hopefully they're not making another leg up here. I'm going to get back over to my 1 minute. So let's see what we get here. Pushing up toward the LOD from yesterday, the low of day. Sitting at 0.50 down. That is incredible after that big drop last night. Pretty incredible. Volume picking up a bit here. So I'm looking for here is another retest of 6,700 on the SPX. Getting a retest of the low of day from Friday. There's a little move down. And not for long. There's a break of the low of day. Strong volume on that candle, on that push up through the low of day. All right, well, I'm going to watch this one for a couple of minutes. We can finish talking about our daily analysis here. Starting to get a little rollover on the MACD, 6709 on the SPX. Getting a little bit overbought on the RSI. Yeah, we're in the middle of a climb here. So this little round over was just a little fake out. Let's see if we can get it to pull back down here before it climbs much more. All right, I'm going to look at the daily over here. And so looking at the daily, we're kind of stuck, like I said, in the middle of this recovery of the range and testing the 200. Guy, good morning. Have been long on Q's, closed for 21. Nice, Guy. Good to see you. Nice trade there. Yeah, that was a nice run up. All right, a little bit of a move down here. Good one. Absolutely good one. You are welcome. $68.08 right now on the SPX. NVIDIA went from bright red to green, so that's interesting. So did Google, and Apple's just at its flatline. So strong push here on this overnight low. And how many times have we seen them do this? Take this super extreme overnight low and then push it the next day. And I think, Roger, something you were asking is, what is that about? And I think that is about distribution. They need to push it up again before they sell off again. That's kind of the name of the game. So we keep getting this pattern, and look how close we are to coming back into this range. Not far, very close. We've got about 100 points really to get back into the range. All right, little move here. See if we try to get back down under that low of day. 67.08 is where we're sitting. There's a little move. Little tiny move on the VIX here. No real move down yet. What we want to see is the MACD is starting to move, but we want to see this moving average also move down. We want to see this low of day break and the 6,700 level on the SPX come back down. And right now, it is pushing. 0.4 negative. Qs are almost at their flat line. Holy cow, guys. What an insane move. What an insane move from the lows overnight of the 200 moving average to now trying to make a green day on the Qs. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, little move here. Just need a few more points out of this. $67.06 on the SPX. Like to see it retest 6,700. Volume creeping up a little bit. $67.04. Coming down through the 20. Let's see if we keep going a little bit. 6,700 is what I want to see. All right, we're at 6,700. I'm going to jump out here for a very small loss, punch it. I don't trust that we don't bounce from 6,700. So I think that was like a 3% loss, hopefully. A little bit more than 3%. Looks like about 5%. So hopefully that didn't hurt too bad, guys. It didn't hurt me too bad. I wanted to make sure. So the options are moving a little bit more. They're a little bit more challenging the way they're pricing the premiums today. So this test of 6,700 should have given us a profit, but it didn't. And so I jumped out at a small loss. I'm okay with that. Hopefully you guys are okay. And here's our break. $66.98. There's the break. And I didn't want to gamble on that break. I didn't want to gamble on a bounce of 6,700, which we could get any minute now. So I'm watching that. So little loss to me is not going to hurt. It doesn't bother me. I'd rather take that than take a big loss, right? If this thing bounces and goes back up. $66.99. They're trying to hold 6,700 at least at the moment. $66.98. Nice little bounce on the VIX here. Yeah, they're trying to hold it. So I'm glad we jumped out there. It could drop more. If we lose 6,700, it could drop more, but this is what I didn't want to see, this climb back up to this top here. So we'll enter in at we'll get a better entry. We'll watch for a better entry. So next, resistance and supports. Let's take a look at the daily. So we have climbed from this bottom, from this low at 66.36 this morning on the SPX. We have climbed almost 70 points. Pretty impressive climb there. But we've climbed way more than that if you count where we came from overnight. So take a look at the overnight climb. Let's do a 15-minute. Look at this. What a recovery. So here's the overnight low at 65.84. That is basically 120 points below us. Wow. We have climbed 120 points from this low. Now this low pierced the 200-day moving average on the daily chart. Okay, looks like they're fighting here at 6,700. If we lose it, I might take another put here. If we lose 6,700, so I'm going to look at 669 puts, but I'm not in it yet, right? I want to see what the deal is. Are we going to break 6,700? Or are we going to hold it? Okay. So on the 15-minute, you can see we came very, very low, 65.84, tested and broke the 200 on the daily chart, and then began this recovery. What is this, about 10? Is that right? It's about 10 o'clock Eastern, and has been really climbing ever since. Now we got the open right here and a little dip, right? So this could have been, who knows, retail, we don't know, but we got the open and then we got the dip, and then again another climb. So they're trying really hard to get back up into this range. So let's take a look on the 15-minute chart. Sometimes it's easier to see. So let me set that to, let's give it 30 days. 66.98 right now, still really trying to hold. I'm watching this closely here. I'm going to do an hour chart. Let's give it 30 days. Okay. So here's the hourly chart. You can get a little bit of a better feel for what's going on when you zoom out. This is going back to end of January. Moving, when you look at the hourly, it's really clear, isn't it? You've got the high here, you've got a lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. You can see it happening. And look at all these double tops here. Double top, like quadruple top, double top, triple top. So very clear what we would call distribution. And what is the idea in distribution? The idea is that the big money sells at the highest level they can sell at, and then it drops, and then it gets pushed back up, and then they sell again, and then it gets pushed back up, and then they sell again. That's distribution. They do it slowly. They have to get out of their positions slowly. They cannot do it all at once because their positions are too big. All right, looking at 66.97, they're trying to hold it, trying and trying. Big money sells, drawing in the retail. You bet, guy, that's exactly right. SPY, look at rabbit ears to the left on the 5-minute. Like to see it break the 9 EMA here for a put. On the 5-minute, I don't see the rabbit ears on the 5-minute. But rabbit ears, I think, is another name that you use for double top, right, Guy? You're seeing a double top? Oh, pre-market. I'm with you. Okay. Okay, little hold here again at 60. It's trying. It's really trying to hold 6,700. So nice, strong bounce off this bottom here. But again, the hourly chart is telling us a story, isn't it? It's telling us a story of distribution. That's what it's doing. So what we don't know is when we get back, if we get back into range, are we distributing again? Or are we going to hang out in the range and try to push up again for a high? When is big money going to be done selling? I don't think they're done selling. This is a strong, strong reversal, but I don't think we're done with the selling because the main reason is we can see that a lot of the big tech stocks are entering into bear market territory. So we are going to have to correct a little bit more if that continues to be the case. Now, if the techs get some big, huge reversal and everybody starts jumping up and we're done, could we see the S&P 500 move back up? Yes, we could. But we're keeping an eye. I'm keeping a really close eye on the NASDAQ, the Mag 7, and are we following in those footsteps? Because we've got a bigger correction going on in the Magnificent 7. In fact, as a whole, they're in correction territory, but some of the individuals like Tesla and NVIDIA are already in bear territory, meaning they're down 20% from their all-time highs. So that is something we need to pay attention to. When you see Tesla down over 20%, pay attention. We are not disconnected. The SPX is not disconnected from Tesla or from NVIDIA. We're going to see that same type of behavior. So that's what I am watching. Also, of course, we can't underestimate the power of the VIX, right? Let's take a look at the VIX. All right, nice bounce here at 6,700. Okay, very good recovery. Good thing we are out of that put. VIX, hourly. Look at that spike on the hourly all the way up to 35. Do you guys remember when I said last week that the target was going to be between 30 and 35 on the VIX? And it certainly has hit that. Now, can it go higher? Sure. Yeah. Can it reverse from here? Yes. Look what it's doing. It's gotten knocked way back down. So the VIX is actually in, let's see, negative right now, about 6%. And it was way, way high in pre-market hours. So let's take a look. If we zoom in a little bit here, what do we see on the VIX? What we see is from about end of January, well, it's actually end of December, but right here on this chart, you can see it from the end of January, a slow rising bottom. See it? Do you see this bottom rising? Just like we saw the top coming down on the S&P 500, we see the bottom coming up on the VIX. There's a low here, higher low, higher low. There we got a lower low, higher low, double bottom, and now this spike. So let's watch and see where this ends. Is this right now, even with this super strong downward move on the VIX, we could be still inside of a rising channel. And at this moment, we are. Now, they could break that channel, but at this moment, we are in a rising channel, even with this strong pullback here. Price action couldn't break the 9, may look to go long if it breaks out above this previous high. Yeah, so this high right here, Guy, you are exactly right. The price could not break down at 6,700, but it also has not been able to break up over this low of day. That's not exactly the previous high, but look how we fought here for a minute and then came under it. So that's kind of this battleground here. And actually it's equating to roughly, not quite, but it's in the 6,700 zone. So here we got, look at that, touched right on it, guys. This is why I put these lines on my chart. Do you see how it respects right to the tick of the low of day? So here we got a little look above and fail. That's what we would call that. It came up, it tested this low of day, it went up and failed. So now it came up again and didn't even break it, failed right on it. So if we can't beat this low of day from Friday to the upside, we will look to see if we can beat 6,700 to the downside. Now we got below 6,700, but not enough to entice me to jump in. I'm not interested in that. So we got to 66.95. So I'm not interested in taking that trade. So we'll look and see what we get here. And our VIX just in the 27 range right now. So this is a strong knock back down on the VIX, which is how it usually behaves, right? When we get these crazy spikes, take a look at the daily chart. You can see whenever it spikes, look at that. We get this strong pushback almost immediately. So we got it here, we got it here, we definitely got it here. We got it here. So almost always when you see that spike, you'll see a strong push back down. It does not stay there very long. Doesn't stay elevated very long. That doesn't mean it won't spike again. So let me zoom out a little bit and let's look at a couple of years of data on the VIX and see what happens when we're in this kind of an environment with this rising bottom and a big spike that gets rejected. Sort of see it here. This is in 23. So we had this rising bottom here, big spike, got rejected for a few days and then pushed again. Sort of happened here. This is a longer rising bottom. Look at how the VIX made a double top here in 2022. Now that was a pretty significant crash, September of 2022, and then again on October. So let's take a look at those. 9/28, so September 28, October 12, 28 and 12. Let's take a look at that. And here are the corresponding lows on the SPX. So right in here, September 28th, we're doing this low. We get a little pop, and then the VIX, remember, does its double top, and then we hit this low here. So that was a pretty significant move down on the SPX, but that's not necessarily the environment we're in just yet. We're kind of in this phase, right? If this is similar to the 2022 drop or crash, we'd be in this phase here where we're trying to hold our 200. So take a look at what we did in 2022. The best way to learn what's going to happen is by watching what happened before. Now, we don't always follow the same exact patterns, but lots of times we do. So this is kind of, this is similar, right? Doesn't this feel similar to our current market? Coming down here, tried real hard on this candle to grab that 200. So lost it here, really tried here to hold it, didn't quite make it, and then pushed up here. So could we see this type of behavior where we've got to slide down through the 200 and then, oh, let's grab it and push it up, and then boom, we lose it again? I think that could be what could happen. And look how long it took, how long it fought at the 200 before it gave up the ghost. It started the fight here at January of 2022. And look above and fail, look above and fail, look above and fail. So this whole time, it's really trying to hold this 200 all the way to here. So that was 3 months, guys, of sideways movement trying to hold the 200. That's significant. We could do something similar. It really tried here for 3 months, right? January till April. It really tried to hold the 200. And then what happened? Boom, we lost it. And once it gave up the ghost, man, then it dumped for April to June, for 2 months, April to June. And then, of course, it recovered eventually after that. But that's what I'm always looking at, is prior market crashes. When we're in this type of situation, how can we equate what happened to what is happening now? Here's another example. This happened early last year. In fact, exactly almost a month ago last year, we broke the 200, recovered it, broke it again, and then whoosh, big whoosh down. Look at this. 1, 2, 3 huge candles down to this bottom. So let's take a look at what we look like today. Today, we see this waterfall looks really similar to that fall that we took last February. But we haven't hit the 200 yet. So we did hit it overnight, but we haven't hit it in regular market hours. So that's going to be the next test, in my opinion. Do we pull back up here first? It's possible. We'll have to watch and see. We're getting that feel today, aren't we? That we're trying real hard to pull back up here. So that's kind of what I'm seeing. So we've got the high here, we've got the rollover, we've got the Magnificent Seven in bear territory, a lot of those stocks in bear territory. We've got the Qs down farther than we are percentage-wise. And so right now, our scenario is down. But we are getting a long tail candle, and we could move back here into this zone. So the idea is that when we're scalping and when we're day trading, it honestly doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it comes back up or if it comes back down. We're going to trade it whichever direction it's giving us. And we've done really well today. Unfortunately, we took one tiny loss on this stream, but I had 5 wins before that. So the idea is we are going to trade whatever direction the market is giving us, and we are basically liquid. We're liquid cash. I am. on my feet, ready to deploy my gunpowder wherever it needs to be deployed. All right, Freaky Turkey, it touched your line again. You are right, Freaky Turkey. Good eye there. And let's see if we make a double top here or if they continue to push. Let's get back over to our 1 minute and switch that up. Looking a bit like a double top here. Let's see if they continue to push it or we pull it back down. It in the waiting, Jesse Livermore. It is in the waiting. As you guys know, I always say 90% of trading is waiting. Waiting for your setup, waiting for your trade, waiting. So you're exactly right there, Guy. It is in the waiting. Okay. Trying to break the top right here, 67.10. Volume is pathetic. I was just coming to look at that, Guy. We have a similar thought process. Volume is trending down right now. All right. Let's see if we're making the double top here. Ooh, it looks like we could be. I am going to load the 670 puts, but I'm not in them. Just waiting to see if they drop it here for a retest of 6,700 once again. Looks like there could be dropping it. Got a little bounce on the VIX here. Now I'm not jumping in until I see a better confirmation. I want to see the MACD roll over. I want to see, well, the VIX is popping a little bit, right? Little pop here. I want to see the moving averages start to come down. So let's watch this move. It is fighting here at the low of day from Friday. All right, guys. Well, we are coming up to the end of the stream, and we'll talk a little bit about what the rest of the trading day looks like. Let me zoom out. So this was a strong recovery. Oh, here we go. Losing it again there, Freaky. You are exactly right. You saw it. So there's that double top forming right there. That's a double top. We'll keep an eye on that. I want to see confirmation here. But as far as trading for the rest of the day, we are a good piece over the VWAP. Could be a short. I know, Guy. I agree with you. I'm watching it. So we are up over the VWAP a good bit. We have rejected the low of day twice now. Confirmation with a break of the 9 would be good. Yes, I agree. When you say break of the 9, do you mean price below the 9? Because on the minute chart it is. Or are you looking for a 9 cross over another average? Anyway, so for the rest of the day, what we need to understand is this is a strong reversal off the bottom. So at this point, puts or shorts are going to be counter to the trend, even with the big negative opening that we had today. The current trend since about 10 Eastern for the last 2 hours is bullish. So we need to be careful with that. On the 5 minute across below, meaning price crossing below the 9, right, Guy? Price moves below the 9 on the 5-minute. Okay. So any puts here, gotcha, guy. Thank you. Any puts here at this moment are going to be counter to the trend. However, we do have a double top forming. So if we start to break down here, I am open to puts, even though it may be counter to the trend. And if we turn and break up through this low of day, I am open to calls. So that's kind of what my plan is for today. It looks to me like we could be forming a short-term top. We'll see what we get here. But we took one small loss today. That's okay. I'm all right with that. Hopefully you guys did okay with that. We will be back again tomorrow at 11 Eastern. And thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you for your comments. I love it when you guys are here and trading with me. It's just loads more fun. All right, guys, thank you for being here. We'll be back tomorrow and we will take some more trades and do some more market analysis. All right, bye for now.